Just let me know 3-2.
Yeah, it started. Hello, everyone. This is the PL report, and we basically cover everything related to the Premier League, and we talk about almost anything that's going on in football in Europe at this time. And it's me, Amshuman, and this with me is Ayush. So let's get into it. This was a bit of a weak weekend. Like there was not a lot of action, and especially before the international break. So I think quite a lot of people were kind of glad because it's been a hectic season for all of us. Okay, so let's start with the first game that we can discuss. Let's start with West Ham Arsenal. So Ayush, what are your thoughts on West Ham Arsenal?
I think West Ham Arsenal was a perfect outlook on Arsenal's season. It just shows how inconsistent and poor they have been in the first half. And in the second half, they just show how they picked up with the signings of Martin Odegaard, Emil Smith Rowe being added to the squad and everything. I mean, it shows the inconsistency in the Arsenal squad. So, first of
Hmm.
all, I think West Ham led 3-0 in the first 25 minutes. No, 30 minutes, if I'm not wrong. So, it was
Okay.
a goal by, first, it was an amazing goal by Jesse Lingard. Glad to see him in form. I mean, the
Yeah,
guy's been through a lot
definitely
and
yes.
and like he's always had the talent, and we've seen that in Emirates Stadium itself a lot of times. But like, yeah,
Yeah,
that
well.
was he's been a really bad nightmare for Arsenal fans. Every time he comes there, he just makes it a dance floor. So it's just really
Yeah.
sad. But the goal was incredible. Top bins half volley. I mean, my God, I couldn't even say anything. It's not even
Okay.
Arsenal scored the first goal. The second goal
Okay.
was yeah.
Okay, fine. We can discuss this a bit in a bit more detail, but tell me first a bit about Martin Odegaard. Like, what is it that you like about him?
Oh
Why
my
do you
God.
think he's so important to this team? And what do you think is how he's progressed and how the team has progressed along with him? Like,
See, the thing Arsenal was missing in the last few months again in October, November, and early December was
yeah,
a
the whole
creative
time,
midfield.
Mesut was being like Mesut was supposed to be your savior, and
Yeah,
they
I
weren't
mean,
playing him, and the politics behind it. So there was a lot of discussion on that, right?
yeah, so I think what I've heard and read, it had nothing to do with his football abilities. I mean, even
Yeah.
if he's a lazy
Yes.
trainer, I think a coach at some time decides to play him at some game instead of being
Hmm.
excluded from every squad. So I think it was the
Okay.
political thing. I think he had said something against the Muslim concentration camps in China. I'm not sure if
Yeah,
that's
the
the right.
Uyghur Muslim thing. Yeah. I know what
Yeah,
you're
it was
talking about.
something like
Yes.
that. And then his agent also claimed that was the reason he was shunned out from the squad. But like
Okay.
it was really showing that Arsenal were missing a creative midfielder. They were just like playing
Yeah.
like sideways FC with
Yeah.
Jacques and what do you say, Ceballos just passing it
That,
left.
that's a pretty good name. Like I like Sideways FC.
Yeah, teams play like that, I think. And it was like the perfect term for Arsenal. Like they had 60% of the possession in each and every
Yeah.
game, but barely a goal. And even Aubameyang was out of form at the start of the season. And
Oof,
like
that is another black hole to get into. Like that was kind of
Arsenal were pretty dependent on Aubameyang last season. Like he was the goal
yes.
carrier and everything. Like if this season you consider him a finisher, last season he was a creative player and a finisher. Like he was creating the goals, and I think he was the
Okay.
last lifeline for Arsenal. But getting back to
Hmm.
the West Ham game, the second goal was a quick free kick taken. So like
Okay.
that could have been avoidable if Arsenal hadn't switched off. But again, fair play to West Ham. I think that was also scored by David Bowen. But
So talk a bit about the comeback. Like how who was the guy who was most important for their comeback and like
oh, I think it has to be these three players. I'll start with Martin Odegaard. The amount of
okay.
passes he played into the box, I think seven, if I'm not wrong. Four
Oh,
big
okay.
chances created. And
Hmm.
I think the English Cafu, Callum Chambers, he came out of nowhere. Okay, he's
Yeah,
not
that was
actually.
unexpected. Like I was very surprised to see him in the lineup itself. Like
Yeah, he
didn't
played
expect
well.
that to happen.
He played another game. I can't recall which game he played. I think it was Southampton or something, where he came back. It was like 2, 3 games ago
Okay.
only. He played really well there.
Okay.
And like yesterday, he was actually playing brilliantly on Sunday night. And
Hmm.
I think the third and final player would be Alexander Lacazette. He was the only one who stepped up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Actually, Lacazette
Obama,
has been improving in form, hasn't he? Like for the
yeah, he
past
has.
few weeks.
He's gone from being overrated to underrated this season. In his, I think, 19 starts, 7 goals. I mean,
Okay.
I personally don't like the way he plays that much. I mean, he's much more
Hmm.
of a holding player where he just holds the ball and he looks for fouls except for making runs and everything compared to
He
Obama.
feels passive too, doesn't he? Like he's a bit
Yeah,
of a passive guy. Like his attitude on the pitch and everything. Like he's sometimes he reminds me of Martial sometimes. Like in the way
yeah,
his
I mean, you could compare the two. I mean, his finishing is on point this season, though. Like
Yeah,
what I've seen,
yeah.
even
He's
that
been a
goal.
good finisher. Like I think even at he was at Lyon right before this.
Yeah, in Lyon, he played really well
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
mean, the first volley he struck, even though it was deflected and it was an amazing volley, which hit. And
Hmm.
by the way, I think Thomas Suchet, another great player, he scored two goals in the match and he didn't know about either of them. One was an own goal, and the other one was
Yeah, yeah,
when Antonio headed the ball in, and that might have actually been offside that was given. It touched Thomas Suchek's leg, so I think he had two
yeah.
goals.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so
I think even the second Arsenal goal was given as an own goal, wasn't it?
yeah, the second Arsenal goal was crossed in by English Cafu, Callum Chambers, and that was
Okay,
another Craig Dawson own goal, where the
okay,
ball was whipped in with a lot of pace. If the defender got his leg and it was only going in goal. So that was also a beautiful strike by West Ham.
okay.
So like, some could say, I think it wasn't even Arsenal's comeback. It was West Ham scoring 5 goals in a match, which only three of them were for them. I think that resulted in that. So it was a pretty good game if you're like watching as an Arsenal fan and you see that your team
Hmm.
comes out from 3-0. So first of all, I gave up hope at the third, like the 30th minute. I like,
Yeah, surprisingly, it's been a positive reaction from Arsenal fans. Like in general, like if you would expect somebody to go 3-0 down, you would have a lot of pitchforks for the management and everything. But I think the fans also realize that this is a process, and
that is one side where I agree they made a comeback of 3 goals. But then there's this other side. Why was it 3-0 down to West Ham
yeah, 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 yeah.
in the first 30 minutes? Even that's a question, right? Okay,
Yes,
fair
yes,
enough. They
yes,
scored 3 goals, but they shouldn't have been down 3 goals in the first 30 minutes either.
yes,
I mean, I would have
definitely.
taken 1-0 with Lingard's goal. You can keep that aside. The other two were avoidable.
Hmm.
I don't think they should have been in that position at all. And it was, again,
Okay.
I will say it's 1 point gained rather than losing 2 points. But I think they could have gone for the win if they had concentrated from the beginning.
Yeah, I think West Ham kind of disintegrated towards the end, from what I
Then
understand. Like,
after the 3 goals they scored, they stopped attacking in the start. I mean, like they just felt like they should
well,
hold on to the lead.
West Ham have been like sometimes they make weird decisions. Like against United, I watched that game, and they came out very passive. Like for a team that had done so well as an attacking team over the season, for some reason they did not pursue that way to score and to try and win this game. Like at Old Trafford, they were very average. Like they didn't even try and push the game, and United controlled it. They had a few chances, but it never felt like West Ham were in for the win. Like
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
mean, this
why.
is a story for them this season, I guess. They're fifth. Congrats and everything. Like the win is out.
Exactly. Yeah.
But when you see them play, it's like they switch off after scoring goals. Like it's not even like they're great defensively. They don't have a defensive record. They barely have a goal difference. But the thing is, like I
Hmm.
don't know what goes on. When they were seeing that they're attacking Arsenal 3-0, I mean, I don't want to say this, but they could have scored two more. They could have gone
Okay.
they could have gone ruthless if they wanted the 3 points.
Hmm.
They just decided to sit back and give Arsenal a chance to
There's a
come
bit
back.
of insecurity in the team. Yeah, I think you're
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
And plus the comeback was on since the first goal of Arsenal. Like it was on from them. Like the 3-1,
Okay.
even as we went
Yeah, you
into
can
the
feel it, right? Like, especially with fans around, you can really feel it. Like, in this game, obviously, there weren't any.
yeah, I think
But
the
in games
balance
like that, when there
was
are fans and then there's a weird, uh, there's some sort of like power that instigates something like that.
yeah, I mean, I felt that like once they hit the first goal, I mean, if they had gone in 3-0 down the break, I think the game would have been
Okay.
over. But the 3-1 leaves a bit insecurity in West Ham.
Mm-hmm.
Like they can't decide if they want to attack or hold the lead. And like Arsenal are just going all in. Like
Yeah,
they just
yeah.
want to get a draw in the game. They have
Okay,
nothing to
okay.
lose now. So I
Okay.
think that factor was good there. I think that was pretty much the recap of the game.
Let's move on to the next one then. Let's talk about Tottenham, Aston Villa. Like, I was expecting a good fixture here, but the thing is, like, for the past 2 weeks after what happened to Jack Grealish, the whole saga with the fantasy football and everything that took place there, he still hasn't come back. He's still not completely right. I'm not sure if he's played, like, if he started playing, but
He's still injured, if I'm not wrong. Let me just check. Because
I thought he was supposed to come back last week and start playing. Like he wasn't expected to start a game, but he was expected to be at least back fit and be available. So I don't
yeah,
know if that happened.
he didn't play the game, and now I'll just say
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
Aston Villa without Jack Grealish is barely a mid-table team. It has to be said.
I think it's
Holding that team together.
I think it's kind of similar to United without Bruno Fernandes. We'll come to that later, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, they still have some good, decent players, but like if you look at Aston Villa, I can only barely name. I think El Ghazi's been playing well. Their keeper Emiliano Martinez, okay, fine him. And then who's there? You could argue Ross Barkley plays well in bits.
You'll have to repeat. The last part just went off. Like you'll have to repeat that again. Like
Oh, can you hear me
you were
now?
talking about Anwar and Ghazi. Yeah, like go from
Yeah,
Anwar and Ghazi.
He's been playing well. Emiliano Martinez,
Okay.
he's been playing well. He has 14 clean sheets in
He
27
has,
games.
and his overall statistical record when you go into advanced stats,
He
Emiliano
has
Marti
the most
has
saves
been
per cricket in the Premier
impressive.
League. Yeah,
He,
so I
he
think
has
fair
been
play to
most
him.
likely the best keeper in this season. You're right.
This
Yes.
season, hands down, it's him. And playing for
Hmm.
a West Ham side, it's not even like he's a Man City team where he has a stable
Yeah,
defensive
yeah,
front
yeah.
like John Stones and Ruben Diaz. But this save percentage is through the roofs. So fair play to him again there. I think Aston Villa without Jack Grealish, they missed the spark in attack.
Yes, definitely. They do miss that. Like he's, I think that winning edge that you get with somebody like Grealish. I think that's why quite a lot of people want him to play for England and consistently start for England because there's an X factor about him.
Yeah.
There's an edge to him that most
Even
players
though
lack. Like
he dives a lot. I mean, he is the most sensitive player on the pitch. But his
I think
skills,
it's kind of like I've watched him a few times because I used to think of him as that, like a diving merchant or something like that. But I realized like the amount of times he gets hit, like it's the same with Eden Hazard in the Premier League. Like the amount of
yeah,
time he gets hit, you have to be ready to get hit, otherwise you'll injure yourself. Like there is no other option for you.
that's
I
true.
think you
But I
have to.
think go down in
You
situations
can
where
under
but
you
yeah, his
can be
talent is
unhappy
there.
with it, yes, but
Yeah,
that's just how it is for him, I think, and he can't even help it. Like it's for self preservation, so I don't really blame him too much for it.
that's true. So I think
Yeah.
that's there. And I don't think the match was going any way other than Tottenham winning that game. Because
Kind
first
of
of all, there
surprising after what
he
happened in the
lost
Europa League.
3-0 in a Europa League exit. Jose Mourinho was bad. I knew he was going to come back with some fire in the Premier League.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Otherwise, he's going to get sacked if he keeps on pulling out performances. And
Will they sack
mentioning
him though? Like let's talk about it. Will
I
they
don't
sack
think
him?
it's Jose's fault. I don't think it's Jose's fault there.
Really?
The team looked lost after 2-0. When it was the draw was going on,
No,
he
like
asked,
like talk to me as an overall season. Do you think he's done well enough? Do you think he's managed
oh,
well
he's
enough?
made
Like
some mistakes. He's made some mistakes against Arsenal also. When they
yeah.
scored the first goal and they sat back, knowing that it
Well,
was
that was a
Arsenal.
complete shit show. Like the Arsenal deserved to win under all circumstances. That was a shit show. That was a bad game from Tottenham.
I'm not even being biased there. Till the first 75 minutes, Emil Smith Rowe created two more chances in the whole of our Tottenham's team.
Ah, that was bad. Like that was a bad game. Like just
They
Tottenham didn't
just
execute
don't.
anything. They didn't have any plan by the looks of it. It was so bad to
If
watch.
it was his plan to not stay in the game and be dominated by Arsenal and sit back with the qualities of Gareth Bale, Harry Kane, I think Son got injured, so even Lucas Moura, these three players. And
Well,
you're
the
not
goal scorer was still there. Lamela was still there.
Lamella's. Yeah, I don't know what
He's
to say
not that
about.
great, but still he's something. Like he did
Yeah,
something. Like he
he
scored a
did
brilliant
something.
goal. So gotta give him credit for that
Was out
particular
of the
game.
world. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think Jose Mourinho should be sacked at the end of the season if they don't reach the Europa League final. Oh, what am I saying? I'm so sorry. They got knocked out. If they don't win the Carabao Cup against City, which is highly unlikely, seeing what Gundogan
Ooh,
did
that would be a harsh firing, wouldn't it? Just on the basis of that Carabao Cup final, like
no,
that would
not
be
the
harsh.
Carabao Cup. So I think what Gundogan did to Sanchez, there's no coming back from there, and the team is scarred. But if they don't finish in the top six in the Premier League this season, I think he should be sacked because like he was brought here for a reason, and
He
maybe
was
it's not
brought to
all.
win trophies, and they're not really looking close to one, are they?
Yeah, and even Bale just randomly said that Tottenham is his gym training session. He's going back to Madrid after this.
That was so stupid. Like I didn't get that at all. Like what was the
I
point?
mean, I thought he was happy at Tottenham, not being played at Real Madrid.
And why does he want to go back to Madrid? He's not going to play at Madrid. There is no fucking way they're going to make him play at Madrid. Like that makes no
I think
sense.
Odegaard has the same problem. I mean, he wants to stay at Arsenal now. If
Well,
Zidane stays,
Odegaard is like 21, so Odegaard has a lot of room compared
no,
to
the
Gareth
thought
Bale, who's
about
30.
the Zidane thing, like he has a very rigid squad. He doesn't rotate much, so like you barely get any chances.
It's yeah.
And
Well,
plus,
but like his track record gives him the
yeah,
benefit of having a rigid squad and
that's
doing
the
what he
problem,
wants.
right? You can't go against the manager if he's bringing in results. So like it
Yeah.
Odegaard at Arsenal feels like what Bruno Fernandes was at Man United at the start. Like everyone's around him, the whole hype is around him.
Is it that good? Is it that
Yeah,
good?
it is. I mean, it's not all about goals and everything. It's the impact that a player brings.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm
He's
asking you.
right
Like,
into
is there
midfield.
a
He has
no?
that
But if
spark
he
in
leaves
him.
at the end of the year, then do you think
I'll
that
be
will
sad.
work? Like,
I'll be sad. I'll be really sad. I don't think Emil Smith Rowe
yeah.
can have the creativity left on him.
No, they'll
He's
have to replace him, right? Like the way they like last year, there was Danny Ceballos who had an important role in the team. This
he's
year, they've gotten
that much
Martin
more.
Odegaard for that
Yeah,
guy who's driving the
Danny
midfield, right?
Ceballos is much more of a holding midfielder who takes risks. He's not a cam.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I'm not calling. I'm not positionally. I'm not talking about it. I'm talking about
Yeah,
the
even the impact
that
that he
impact
brings.
that you need, right? Like
So,
from that perspective.
there's this one thing that I like and dislike about this Ceballos guy, and that is his risk factor. Sometimes
Hmm.
it works brilliantly, like his mind works differently, but most of
Okay.
the time it leads to errors directly to goal, like against
Okay.
also. So I
Hmm.
don't think even if we don't sign him, I think Party could still do the job that he's doing with Jaka. So that
Well,
shouldn't be
yeah,
a problem.
Party is very dynamic. Like he's very like he
Yeah.
doesn't play the same way as Kante, but he has the similar idea. Like he impacts a lot of things on the pitch when he's there.
So, but
So I think
every match,
Thomas Partey is going to be a very important part of this Arsenal side going forward.
I have nothing against the guy. He's brilliant, but I just dislike the fact that he decides to take three shots every game from behind the box, and none of them are near goal.
Ah,
It's
the
just,
Fred thing, like the Fred
yeah,
problem.
right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard that he has amazing long shots, and I think someone in the comment section also said, "Can you please take it shots from outside the box for fuck's sake? It's getting
Well,
annoying."
you should be used to it. You've watched Granit Xhaka play for a long time, so
He knows how to hit long distance shots, though. That's the
yeah,
only
he has
missing.
scored them. Yes, definitely.
He has
He
that
was
ability.
scoring
I'm
them
not
before
saying that.
Arsenal.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's known for his long
Yeah,
shot.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
so I think
Okay, let's
getting
get
back
back
to
to Tottenham. Let's get back to Tottenham and Harry Kane and Jose Mourinho and what's going on there. Like, let's.
yeah, so I don't think Jose should be sacked unless he doesn't fulfill the two requirements: Carabao Cup and top six. I mean, if he still secures the top six in such a season, I
Hmm.
think he'll be all right, and you could give him one more chance. But otherwise,
I
no.
think another issue is that he has to keep the players on side, and because if he doesn't keep the players on side in this team, in this Tottenham team, which has not seen a winning manager in so long,
They don't have a
uh,
winning mentality. Also, if I talk about not about games, I think they were mentally exhausted after the reaching the finals in Champions League. After reaching so far and still
hmm,
not winning it, I think the team, most of the original squad is still there, right? So I think they feel
yeah,
exhausted. They've given up some hope, like all of that for nothing. So I
hmm.
mean that affects a bit.
I
Like
think it's more along the lines of Mourinho doesn't know exactly what to do with the squad. I think that's what I feel like is going on.
I mean,
Like,
you could say he's the special one, and like you could disagree about that. Like he's
hmm.
been in the game for a while, so I think you would know. But I think it's the team's mentality which has been affected. I mean,
Well,
Pochettino.
a lot of the mentality is thanks to the manager as well. So Mourinho
Yeah,
has to take blame for something
I
like
think
that.
he has some blame, but I think it's not all about him. So he'd still be a bit
Maybe.
unhappy if he gets sacked. So talking about Harry Kane, do you think he should leave or not?
Uh, See, first of all, if he wants to leave, where does he go? That's the first question you ask. Where will he go? Who can afford him?
I
In this
mean,
market, basically no
I
one.
think two teams.
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's Real Madrid or Manchester City, and both have strong rumors again around him.
Okay, then okay, fine. Let's deal with Real Madrid first.
Hmm.
Isn't Real Madrid going to go for Haaland or Mbappe, the next
I mean,
superstar, the next big guy, like the next guy who carries football forward as a marketing and a merchandising
that's
and as
true.
a conglomerate like that, and carry the name of Real Madrid, which obviously it means a lot. It
I
means
mean,
it's the
the
biggest club in the
Madrid
world.
rumor still is a bit weak compared to the Man City one. Because Madrid also have Ronaldo signed up on their list. They might be able to get him for 25 million at the end of the season, if I'm not
I
wrong.
don't, but
I don't think
recently
that's
Nedved said that Ronaldo is not going anywhere. I don't believe him, but yeah,
yeah,
he's officially said that at least.
I'm still sure they might just let him go. I mean,
I
yeah,
think that
Ronaldo.
the Champions League quest has failed. I think we can accept that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just Ronaldo. I think it's the squad now. I think
They didn't know
maybe
what to do
Ronaldo
with
has
him, is
affected
what
a
my.
lot of their squad. Like, you can't have another super striker beside Ronaldo. Like, they've had Higuain, Morata. Like, they don't have a perfect partnership for him. And even they lack a creative midfielder out and out. So I think there's a lot of problems there
I think their
also.
squad is too old now. They haven't balanced it well enough. Like they're in transition and they're not in bad transition. Like they
Yeah,
have players coming through. Like Dillit is there. Their defense is going to get Demiral is there. Daniel Rugani is there. So they
there's
have players coming in.
there and they have a lot there.
They have a lot of midfielders coming through. Like Rabiot is not exactly young, but like he still can be part of your future. And
Kenny is young. I think he's going to
Bentaker is
carry.
there, McKinney is there, so they have a structure, but they're not a squad that is primed for the Champions League. The same problem that Barcelona have.
Yeah. So
The both the
getting
clubs
back
are in
to
an
Harry
exact
Kane.
similar situation.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
get
okay,
back to
yeah.
Harry Kane
Oh, let's
because
talk about the Man City thing.
I think
Let's
Man
just go through
City's
with it.
best move would not be Haaland. I mean, it's not even going to be a hit or miss thing. It's just going to be his, first of all, his wages. And I'm not going to lie, Haaland is an amazing player. He's an amazing striker. He'll get you goals. But I think this was quotes used in Sky Sports also. He'll get you goals. But Harry Kane is the complete package going forward, if you look at it.
Hmm.
He has that
Okay.
one thing that Man City do, which is trophies. He wants that. He's admitted that, like, I think 4 years ago, he said he'll leave Tottenham
Yes,
Hotspur if
he
they don't
said it
win.
multiple times. He said it
Yeah.
multiple times, especially when
And
the
to be
United
fair,
rumors were around. Yes.
it's not even like they're winning an FA Cup every other season like Arsenal or something. They're doing nothing
Hmm.
like that. And being an elite striker, considerably one of the best in at least the Premier League, if not Euro, he's the
Hmm.
one of the best in the Premier League, for sure. And I think he deserves that
Definitely.
status. And the amount of creative people that you have in Man City and the system they play. I think Harry Kane is going to be the target man there. He's going to replace Sergio
Okay.
Aguero's impact in 2011 and 12, if I'm not wrong.
I think he could do better, like because Aguero lacks in some areas where Harry Kane does not.
Yeah,
But the
Harry
main
Kane is
issue that I
faster
see
than
from this
Aguero.
is the main issue that I see with the Harry Kane idea is he's already 28. You can get Haaland in, he's 20. And getting in somebody like Haaland, because Haaland is so dynamic. He can do everything you want him to do. He's stronger than you as a defender, he's faster than you,
Yeah,
and
I
he
prefer
is
Haaland over
technically better than
PSG.
you.
Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. I think Haaland is better than Mbappe also in some level. So it's
He
like
is
that.
kind of like
I
he's
think
like
it's
Giannis Antetokounmpo
mentality
here.
that
Like he can beat you every way. Like that's just how it is. Like
I think
he's the
even
most
though
dynamic player in football right now.
that's true. I think Mbappe suits much better on the wings as a natural striker compared to a natural striker. If you It's like comparing Ronaldo and Messi in some areas where
I think he
he's
can
like,
dovetail well with players of a similar ilk. Mbappe, Haaland, I'm not too sure about that. He
yeah,
hasn't played in a team that's vying for trophies and winning every week, so we can't say
yeah.
that
Even
same
he's
for him.
also mad at Dortmund. I think his reaction in the last game where he scored 2 goals in a 2-all draw. Even he's pissed off. Like, what is this squad doing, man? He wants to win trophies and compete. I don't think he can do that with Dortmund.
Well, I think he knows that. I think he's
Yeah,
gone in there for
he knew
development.
it
Like
was going
that
to
was
be a
their objective.
transition start. I think his
Hmm.
career mode is going well. I mean, going from Salzburg to Dortmund was a good transition step. Like Dortmund
Yeah.
was in a improvement phase. Like in Dortmund, he actually proved that he's not just a one-season wonder.
Yeah.
I think so. Who
He
would
is
you
as
rather have?
dangerous as we thought he would be. Yeah.
Who'd you rather have, Man City for Haaland or?
But I would take Haaland like without question, like no doubt about it. Like I will take him any day. Like I love Harry Kane, but I think especially with the pandemic and the finances and how they've been affected, like he might get a move next year, but this year I'm not expecting. Like I think people will reserve their money for if they can get somebody like a Haaland or an Mbappe, like a more guaranteed one, because Harry Kane has had injury problems as well. So you can't really say that Harry Kane is a foolproof signing. So I think
Hmm.
Haaland would make more sense for any team, like because he can play different types of football. Also, you can play around him. Like he in itself creates so much gravity that you can execute a lot of different systems around him. Like we haven't seen all the systems being executed, but I'm pretty sure it's possible. Like the amount of like the way he plays and the number of things he can do. Okay, let's get on to the next one. Let's get on to the United Leicester game.
Oh,
This
that's a tough
was
one.
I didn't even watch it. Like being a United fan, I did not watch it. Like I couldn't care. I was
The
done.
only key point that I remember is that last week when we were on the call and we were talking about how Kilichi Ianchio is going to be like just
Yeah.
a one game wonder. He has 8 goals in his last 5 games, which is quite
Well,
an amazing. sad for a guy who's been in the Premier League for a while and not performed. Like he's
Well, I
finally.
think the biggest reason for him doing this well is the fact that he actually got a run of games. Like,
That's
because
true.
Jamie Vardy was your sole striker. Like, you don't get any chances. Like, it's Jamie Vardy, for God's sake. Like,
Yeah, you're going
it's
against the top dog of the Premier League.
uh,
So like
you're going against a champion who won them the most improbable championship of all time.
he
So
still
you
holds
have a
the
lot to
record
fight
for
against.
11 goals in a go, right? I think
Yeah,
11
he has
straight.
consecutive games, 12 goals. Yes, yeah, he
Oh
scored the
my
12th
God.
against United. I remember that. Oh God.
He's the absolute shithouse of the Premier League. Doing
Oof.
everything, dancing with the Premier League flags, crushing a
Breaking them.
LGBTQ flag. Like he gives no shits. Like you can
Yeah,
tell. And
yeah.
that's the attitude that makes everyone lose. I think I still remember his celebration if I can't pull that up. This man scored the winner against Crystal Palace and he literally did the flying bird dance against them
Yeah,
with the
I
and
remember.
my gosh. You want to take every
He's
bit.
got a few weird celebrations, doesn't he? He actually
Yeah,
has quite a few of them. Yeah.
I mean, fair play, man. He was a factory worker till 21. He doesn't even shine out till like
Ah,
many
what
of
a rise! Like,
many of the
it's
new players hit their prime at this age now. Like they're like at the best, like Haaland and Mbappe at this young age. And
complete
he's
enigma, no doubt.
yeah, I think respect to him for that. So yeah, Leicester United. I think I haven't watched the game, but the only thing which I watched was the press conference in which Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was laughing after losing a quarter final and laughing out on like a trophy that they could have won easily. Like they beat Manchester City. I mean that was a good win against in the Premier League. They could have pulled off the same
Hmm.
thing again. Who knows? And like they're coming second in the Premier League. That was a good chance on a title. Like even
Yeah,
Europa League is, but I think at the FA Cup would have been far not far easier, but slightly easier. So he missed out on
yeah.
that. And then he's laughing. I think he didn't take it so seriously only. Like he didn't take it as if his first or second priority.
Maybe. I can't answer that question, but from what I see, like it was a poor loss. They shouldn't have lost the way they did. I think another issue was the first goal. Like I saw the first goal and the pass that Fred gave, like it was so bad. It was so
I
bad. Like
saw that.
Inacho was given a goal. Like it was a gift.
Do you think that's Fred's fault though?
Well, whose fault it is? It was an under hit pass. Like
It was.
Dean
I
Henderson
think
couldn't
it
really do
wasn't it
much.
Maguire who played the ball to Fred in a place where he was already covered by people.
Well, it wasn't like he couldn't control the ball or it was a very hard pass to make. Like
No, it's
he
not
might
even
have
that.
been under a bit of pressure, but it wasn't like
I mean,
it
yeah,
wasn't like
it's
he was
Fred's fault
completely on
for
the
sure.
rope.
It was, but like
Well, you're a
Maguire,
professional footballer. You should be able to handle that. Like
I mean,
it
but
wasn't
like
like
I
the
think
tightest of spaces to play in. Like maybe Maguire's pass wasn't great, but it
it's
wasn't
not
the
even about
hardest
the
one to
pass. I
deal
think
with.
it was the option of choosing Fred. Like he was already covered by three people. Fair enough. Okay, Fred's no. What do you say? Oh, Modric or anything. He's not a world class midfielder. He's good. I'm not taking
Well,
that
yeah,
away.
Modric is a bridge too far for him. Like
Yeah. So I think Maguire had
if
better
even if
options.
he's good enough as Wilfred and Didi or something, I'll take it as a
Yeah.
distributor.
I mean, but Maguire's the captain, and I seriously don't think it's the pass that he should be playing right there. I mean, everyone's putting the blame on Fred and everything, but you should also give like at least 30 to 40% on
Maybe,
Maguire to play that pass.
maybe.
He had options on his left and right, and he chose to give the ball to a person who's marked. He was already under
Hmm,
pressure.
maybe. Well, yeah, you have to take into account the fact that Fred, first of all, has a very poor first touch. That has
Yeah,
been always been apparent. Like he's like people used to complain about Lukaku's first touch. Like this guy beats him all hands down. Like it's kind of ridiculous how poor his Fred's first touch can be. And so
I
yeah,
think.
taking that into account, like yeah, some blame has to be assigned to Maguire. You're
Yeah,
right
I
about
mean,
that.
if it was like, what do you say, Tuan Zibe or like a young defender who doesn't know the game that well, compared to
Hmm.
United captain who's been in the game and he knows which pass to play as a defender, I think it was his fault also.
Hmm. Maybe.
That was an early exit for United, earlier than expected for sure.
Maybe, but I think, but this Leicester City deserves the credit that they deserved the win.
Yeah, I mean,
They are a
fair play.
good team. They have a great manager. So
That's one thing
fair
I
play.
like about Leicester. You know, they lose out on key players like every other year. They lost Kante, they lost Mahrez, they've lost
They didn't
several.
even lose. They sold them on. Like
Yeah,
they want to do.
like,
That's their
I think
financial
those
model.
as
Like
in
that's how their
not in their
recruitment
squad.
works.
And
Yeah.
every year they bring out talents. I don't know what's going on with the scouting system, but they
Ooh,
bring
it's
out
the
depth of talents every year. I
It's
think
the
last
best
place.
scouting system in England, most likely. Like
Yeah, I
you
think
can't beat it. Like how can you beat that? Like
I think that training
Mahrez,
facility
Kante,
costs a amount
Vardy.
of
Like
money.
Vardy is not exactly part of it. Like Tielemans they got in.
Yeah,
My
Kalen
internet is
Soyuncu,
fucking up.
James Justin. Can you hear me?
Uh, it's my internet's problem. I can see it from my side. Like it's showing.
Yeah,
I
can you
don't know
see
what
me?
to
Can
do.
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was
So
saying I think Kalen Soyuncu, James Justin, Castagna, they're all playing amazing. They're all good
yeah.
players. And I think even that training facility, it cost the amount of money they got from Maguire, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah. I think that's a good investment though. Like
That's 80
investing in
million
things like
spent
that.
well. That
Yeah.
was actually not even put in one player. It was actually put on the training facility, and that helped them build actually good players.
Yeah,
The
I think
players,
that's what they're doing. Like that's what their model is. I think in the next few years they are hoping that they're able to reach close levels close to what the top six has in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the stadium, in terms of the VIP services they provide, in terms of amount of fans and merchandising they have, the global audience that they have. Especially
plus,
being a Thai owner and everything, I think they would really want to expand in places like Asia where they already have a footing.
that's true. I think
Even
Leicester
Wolves
City.
have done the same thing. Like
Yeah, I think, but Leicester City is still like 3, 4 steps ahead of Wolves. Like they just came back from the
yes,
Olympics.
yes. Wolves have done a bit more in their merchandising. They've have their line of clothing and everything that they sell in China, and
Yeah,
they're hoping to create a lot of fan following in China, like because I think their
I
owner
think
is
many of
Chinese,
the
I
teams
believe.
target the Asian markets because the population and anything.
Well, that's the most untapped market in the world, isn't it? That and
Yeah,
US. Like, what other markets do you have that don't really follow football as much?
that's true. And like, I think Leicester City have become the Ajax of the English Ajax, if I'm not wrong, with the amount of training and scouting.
Yeah, and the amount of recruitment and their whole
Yeah,
circle that they have, like the cyclical form of the team.
yeah, even
Yeah,
Ajax
that's
sells
a
off
pretty
their
good
main
comparison.
players every year, but they still manage to win the league. I mean, I wouldn't call it a
They
farmer's league.
manage to win the league, and then they'll every 2 3 years they'll have a big Champions League or Europa League run, and they'll do well in cup competitions, and that's when
Yeah,
you realize, oh, okay, this Ajax team is something that we have to contend with and watch out for. Like there was
yeah,
the Davy Klaassen team, then there was the Dion team and the Van de Beek team. Like they
yeah.
keep rolling
Hockey,
on like
yeah,
with the punches.
Tadic, they were all playing really well. I think the new
Yeah.
they first believed in only youth, and then I think in the last few years they switched that system to youth and young
Hmm.
old players to have a mix and everything.
Okay. Okay, let's get to the results of the weekend that were kind of like expected. Like the
Yeah,
City winning against Everton. Everton held up for a bit, but like the
yeah.
City
I think
team you can't really stop, can you? So
no, I don't think there's much of a discussion there. I mean, fair play to Everton for holding them off for 84 minutes until like De Bruyne scored. And like, yeah, I think it was expected. I mean, I think City might even win the
oh
quadruple this
god.
year with Champions League. Can you hear me? Hello.
Oh, we'll have to figure something out for this connection thing.
Oh my God. I can hear you properly. I think you can't hear me now.
Yeah, I can see you.
Hey, are you back?
Can't really hear you much though.
Oh
I
my
think now
God.
it's better. Yeah, it's better
Can you
now.
hear me now?
Now you're
Yeah,
fine.
I was saying I think Man City are the favorites to win the quadruple this year. I think including the Champions League. I mean, they might get edged out by
Yeah,
Bayern, but that's still
I
another
think
debate.
like the quadruple, I think is from a team perspective. Like if you look at it from Man City's and their fans' perspective, like looking for the quadruple would be the wrong thing to do. Like you
Which
haven't
fans are
ever
you
won a
talking
Champions
about?
League.
Which fans are you talking about? I don't see them anywhere in the
The
world.
plastics who fill up the Etihad, that's the one I'm talking
Oh,
about.
okay, you're talking about the dummies. Oh, yeah, they might be. I mean, I barely see. I'm
Well,
shocked to see fan pages of Manchester City, and I'm pretty sure they haven't been existing more than 2, 3 years ever since they've got the run.
Well, I think it's been like 8 10 years. I think after 2008, I think a lot of fans woke up to the
Yeah, I
concept
think it
of
was
Man
the
City.
2011 and 12 season that actually got people like, oh,
Yeah,
there's another
especially
team in
the first
Manchester.
championship they won, like the first league that they won. I think, especially the
Yeah,
circumstances they won. That is most likely the greatest Premier League moment of all time, except for the Leicester win. I think.
Aguero! My God.
Yeah,
I
we
think
don't
that
need
was
to relive it.
I think it was Balotelli's only assist that season. I know
Yeah,
my man. What an assist!
fuck them then.
That's one more assist that you should get.
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
watched
don't
that live. I remember watching that live, and I remember watching the United game side by side. It was bad.
don't worry. United, Manchester is still red and will always be red. I think there was this really funny
I,
quote.
I I don't care about that honestly. I just want the team to do well. I don't care if it's red or not. I
I
don't
mean,
live in Manchester anyway, so who cares?
that's true. That's true. We're not like die-hard fans. I mean, we watch them because they play well and anything. But yeah, I think I saw this really funny quote when this man said even the sunset in Manchester was red tonight after winning the derby. And I'm like, oh my god, we about to send people now. And like this guy,
uh,
did you want it to be fucking blue then?
well, it's Twitter shit. Like, what else would you expect from them? Like, it's
Yeah,
Twitter. Like, it's
Twitter's a different
the
ball. It's a different ball.
it's the saddest place to go to if you want an opinion. Like,
That's true. Don't say that, dude. I post my opinions there.
yeah, no, that's different. Like, even I post quite a bit on Twitter, and like,
Yeah,
but
I post my threads. And like, yeah,
it's different, right? Like when you're actually discussing with someone, and when you're actually going into Twitter in general, like.
I think the next game would be Chelsea Sheffield United. This is not exactly Premier
Ah,
League, just to clarify. But the FA Cup comes under the English Premier League and everything. It's fine. It's the same thing. It's just domestic competition.
yeah, we'll discuss any English football going on, like at least the top
Yeah,
level ones. So
yeah. I mean, we could
we don't need to discuss this. Like Chelsea are going to concede. We've seen that already. They did not
Oh,
concede again,
oh my
and
God, it's just getting boring now. Honestly, I'm not even saying that.
but the Atletico game was awesome. Like I enjoyed that game. They were really good
No,
against
I'm
Atletico in the
not
second
talking about
leg.
the Atletico game. I think the thing that
Yeah.
the system Tuchel plays, it's like tiki taka without the attack.
Is it that bad? Like I've seen a
It's
few
not
games.
bad.
I enjoy it. I
I
enjoy
mean,
it. I genuinely enjoy watching it.
it's beautiful football. I mean, I agree, but like, there's no thrill and passion to it. Like, they're playing very mechanical football. Like, they're passing it around. Like,
I
they're
think
not
the
making.
lack of thrill is from the fact that they don't let the opposition attack. I think that's the
Yeah,
part that lacks the thrill because they'll
it
control the
removes
ball
the
so
competition.
much.
Yeah, it
It's
removes
it's
the
it's very engrossing to watch from my perspective because like some things I observed were like the fact that the ball is stagnant only when it's in the back line. Like if a player in the defensive line has it, that's the only time it's stagnant because the moment it moves forward, like there will be two or three players making movement all the time. So they'll obviously, if you're moving, then obviously you'll create space and obviously you'll be able to pass the ball. So it becomes very quick once it actually moves into an attacking phase. So
Hmm.
that's why I really enjoyed what they're trying to do and what that guy is trying to do, and he's
I mean,
really
I
doing
think
well with it.
Tuchel is the right way for Chelsea if they want to win.
I don't know if
Like,
the fans appreciate it. That's the question. Like that's
yeah,
the
I
biggest problem.
mean,
That's what Sari's problem was to an
yeah,
extent.
I mean, even with Lampard, at least the fans liked him, even though he's not pulling out results every day. Everyone liked to
And the
fan.
games are exciting. Like they were
Yeah,
end to end. Like Chelsea used to fuck it up a lot, but they used
I
to
mean,
go
yeah,
end to
you
end
could
and
see
they
Tammy
used to
Abraham
attack
in the
as well.
front. Like, I remember last season's Chelsea's team, dude. All the youngsters and them on a transfer
Yeah,
ban.
not a good team to watch. Yes.
I'm watching Pulisic come back into like form and everything. Like, wow, that was brilliant.
Hmm.
So I
This
think
team is
Chelsea
a
got
bit
after.
brilliant in a very different way.
I mean, I don't want to be rude, but if there's one game that you could have predicted in the English Premier League and FA Cup, it would have been Chelsea versus
Yeah.
Southampton. And
Chelsea
to be
versus
fair,
yeah,
also
Sheffield. Yeah.
Chelsea didn't win by a heavy margin. They just won by an own goal scored by, I think, let me just confirm that. But yeah, it was just an own goal. So I don't know. I think Chelsea should have done better.
I don't think they would care. Like
Yeah,
they're
they
much
got
more.
through and all. But if you're barely winning against a team that's coming 20th and is in the worst form of their life, and that also you
Hmm.
lost one by an own goal, like in that thing, I think that's a bit alarming, if I'm not wrong. Just to pure
I
attack.
don't know. I watched the Atletico game, dude, and anything that I watched in the Atletico game, like they were fantastic to watch. They were so good. They beat the shit out of that team. They were better at everything on the pitch.
I
They
think
were
if
so good against
Barcelona
Atletico.
win the league title this season, they should thank Chelsea for ruining Atletico Madrid's form in both the
Well,
games.
Atletico Madrid's form was already kind of down in the dumps before that. Like they're
Yeah,
still,
they
they
are also
have been a
another
bit
second Dortmund.
up and down, like as a team in recent
Yeah,
times.
I think they're like the what do you say Spanish Dortmund when it comes to the league. Like they start off well, and know you think, oh, they're going to win against Bayern this season, but they just fail. Like it's Barcelona or Real Madrid every other
They
season.
reminded me a lot of last year's Liverpool, except the fact that Liverpool never stopped losing, they never stopped winning. Like they just
Yeah,
didn't stop. This Atletico team stopped winning after a point. They because Liverpool weren't getting the most impressive results all the time. They were a lot of them were 1-0 wins, and
I
that's
mean,
what
you
a
might
champion
be saying
does.
that, if you want to watch interesting games of Liverpool, you have to log into 2 seasons back when they finished with 98 points. No,
Yeah,
97.
that was some
In
the
second.
the one in with
That
City,
season
one
they
with
were
one
addicted.
point. Yeah,
Yeah, that season. But like the next season, they had to win the Premier League, just coming this close to it. I mean, it's an ego thing then. I mean, that time, if it was
yeah.
Tottenham,
I think it's a want of more kind of thing. Like City had already won it last year, so City didn't have that much to prove. Liverpool had everything to prove. They had never won a Premier League title, so they were
yeah,
they went and got it. And I think
they did
whatever
it
you
the hard
say,
way, but they did. Yeah, I think
I
the
thought they
only
did quite comfortably.
yeah,
Counting the previous season, you're right. Yes.
yeah. I mean, the thing with Liverpool, I mean, that's the difference between Liverpool and Tottenham. When Tottenham reached the final, and they lost all hope. Next season, they were absolutely horrendous, and Pochettino was sacked. And
I think
When Liverpool lost the final in Madrid, what happened to them next season? They won
they
the
beat the
championship.
shit out
They
of
finished
everyone.
with 97 points.
Yeah.
That's one hell of a season.
I
They
think
won.
I think there are some structural differences in what happened between Liverpool and Tottenham, because I think the first thing you have to see is Liv- um, the squad, like the way the squad had been set up. Like Tottenham's squad was at the end of its initial cycle. They had to
Yeah,
be replenished and they had to move
I
some
think
players on.
it was
Pochettino had
always.
talked about it as well,
Yeah,
and that never happened. Like the move on, like the actual signings that came in that could make an impact on the team, they came in after Pochettino was gone,
yeah,
which is why like the squad is in the shape it is. Like they didn't you there is a timing to these things. You have to time it, and that's what Liverpool did. That's what City did. They time their signings in such a way that the integration takes place and the squad reaches its peak at a particular time where everyone is on their peak,
yeah,
because
dude.
you can't expect a guy to
Liverpool,
go 6 7 years in the same training routines and still give out the same output that he wasn't giving in 3 or 3. So
Barcelona still owes 20 million euros debt to Liverpool for Philippe Coutinho's signing.
that is easily the worst signing this decade. Easily
My
the worst
God,
signing.
it's not even that he's a bad player. That player came back to bite their own ass in an 8-2 defeat.
Ugh.
Barcelona versus Bayern. I mean, imagine. I think the coach was like, "Okay, you guys are winning 5-2 in the 70th minute. Philip, I'll give you some minutes. Just go hold on the ball." And he's like, "Screw this. They fucked me out of the squad. I'm gonna score 2 goals and give an assist." And like, my God, the nightmares that gave for the Bayern player, the Barca players. There. I
Well,
think he refused to give
Barca
Davis
squad
his
planning,
goal.
we know how terrible they are at it right now. Like especially the previous administration. The worst, one of the worst bot jobs you could ever see in sport.
I
Oof.
think they got arrested also, right, for the case right now, which they had, if I'm
Could
not
you repeat
wrong.
that? I couldn't hear you.
I'm saying they got arrested also, right? The previous staff.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because of it was some weird mismanagement shit that they were doing,
Yeah, I
right?
was.
I don't know
I
the
think
details.
they were spreading rumors about other teams or
Okay,
something.
let's talk about the semi-finals that are coming up for the FA Cup. Between City and Chelsea, who do you think would win the game? Like,
I
it's a
think
tough one
it'll be
to
a tough
predict.
match, but I think City will go through. I don't think Chelsea would, even though Chelsea have a good defensive system and record,
Hmm.
the last 12 games or so, like they haven't lost a game. I think this would be the end of the honeymoon period for Tuchel when they face Manchester City. I think that would be a
Yeah,
fair.
this is their toughest fixture yet under Tuchel. So
Yeah, I mean,
let's see how
Atletico
this
Madrid
goes.
is all right and everything, but Man City is different. It's just,
Well, Man City is a different beast, that's for sure,
yeah,
as you
yeah,
already said. So,
yeah,
and the other one, the one that is kind of up in the air, the Leicester Southampton one. What do you think about
yeah.
that one?
Plus, yeah, I think Leicester, Southampton. Oh my. I'm just worried about Southampton. What's going to go against in Rafael? He's going to be thinking what do you say, Southampton manager? Just
Yeah, Hasan Hotel.
please don't concede 9. I'm pretty sure that happened at Manchester United also. The second they got their first red card, he was just
Hmm.
scared. Please don't concede 9. That's the only thing going on his head. They've lost the match when they got the red card against an on-form Manchester United. And
That
you
was a
know what?
sad game to watch, in my opinion. Like
Yeah,
I watched that
even,
one. Ugh.
even and United's head. I mean, what do you say? Southampton's head would have been please don't concede 9, and United's head they would have been please score more than 9 because we don't want to beat that record. And like they got low. Yeah, so I think, but Southampton have also been a team that started off well, but then they create their
They
own
lost
problem.
their way. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Leicester's gonna win most probably.
I think the timing of the fixture also matters. I think it's around the 10th of April or something, if I'm not wrong, but I'm not
Yeah, I
100%
think
certain of it.
if Danny Ings doesn't return to the squad by then, I would think
Danny
Leicester are
Ings
gonna
is
find
such
it
a
hard.
problem for them. So inconsistent injury problems. Oh God,
Yeah,
it's.
I mean, even the rumors are going around that Man City might just sign Danny Ings, which is actually not a bad shout. He
But
might be the
will that be? Will they retain Aguero then? What is their plan if they want to sign
no.
Danny Ings?
Aguero's leaving, man. I feel bad for the guy. He's a club legend, and he just got off the pitch and he claimed they don't pass me the ball, which is actually quite saddening to watch. He's been excluded from the squad. Like all
I think the injuries have finally caught up. I think he needs a change of scenery also. I think it's better for
that's
Aguero
true.
also to move.
That's there. I mean, he's also lost that touch which he had, right? He's not that great striker who scored
I think the
175
thing
goals.
is that happened is the City team passed him by. Like he was injured for the past year. He couldn't
And
get
they
on the
managed
pitch.
to
Then
get by.
Pep
Yeah.
was like, fuck this, we'll devise a different plan, we'll play differently. We don't need Aguero anymore. And that's
Dude,
exactly what
Manchester
happened.
City play a game where they don't even require a natural striker.
They
Even if
just
they play four midfielders, they can still score the amount of goals which they do with a striker. Because
well,
I
they
don't think
have those four midfielders moving into the striker's role. They'll just
yeah,
rotate so much that the defense is
Gundogan is a
completely caught off
finisher.
guard with who gets in.
Gundogan is a finisher. Kevin De Bruyne is a finisher. I mean, like they don't need more players. Mahrez is a
Do you
finisher.
need
For
to
now,
be a good finisher to score for the City team? Gabriel Jesus is not a good finisher. We've seen that many
I
times.
mean, yeah, yeah,
Raheem
yeah.
Sterling is known as one of the poorest finishers.
I
So
mean,
you
but
don't need
I'm
to be a good
talking about.
finisher. You just need to put the ball in the net, and that's what the team sets up you for you to do.
I mean, yeah, but I think Gundogan's and what do you say? Kevin De Bruyne's goals are quite different. Like even Kevin
Oh
De
no,
Bruyne,
I'm not trying to
they're
defame
not
either of
just
those guys.
captains in the
Like
net now, are they? If you see
they
how
score
Gundogan
good
has
goals.
played,
Yeah. De Bruyne, especially like De Bruyne's got a hard hitting shot on him, and the free kicks
oh
that he
my,
scored, we've seen how good De Bruyne is. We don't need to really, we
he
won't be
is the
coming
best
out with new
midfielder of the
information.
last 4 years for Premier League. I mean, I
He
still
has a
feel,
shout for being the best Premier League midfielder of the decade. Also, like I think
yeah, I mean,
you could make the
apart
case
from
for him.
I think one or two, he's been there.
Well, I think David Silva would beat him, but yeah, he's got a case.
I mean, David Silva is much more of a passive midfielder, like compared to what do you say. I've seen David Silva pass the ball in front of an open net. He's that passive, like he won't score an open goal. I've seen him do that. It's like he's doing an objective to score with the striker. And like I think Kevin De Bruyne would smash the ball in the net. But yeah, otherwise David Silva is also legend. So I think that's all for the Premier League recap. I think I'll just ask you one last question, which is we'll have like a random question at the end of the podcast or
Okay,
something.
yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
So who do you think has been the best young player in the Premier League this season and why? It doesn't even have to be statistical. Who do you like the most?
Okay, I'll have to think of the best young players who have played this season. First, I think let's get rid of the United one. Mason Greenwood is not in
He
the
is not
conversation.
from this year, not this
Not in the
season.
conversation. Bukayo Saka has a place in the conversation.
Hmm.
Emil Smith Rowe has a place in the conversation. Phil Foden has a place in this conversation. Then
Harvey
let's get
Barnes.
back to the non top six. Like Harvey Barnes is one of
Yeah.
the players who can talk about it. Yuri Tielemans is one of the players we can talk about. I don't know if he's eligible for the award though.
He's 23.
Uh,
I think we'll exclude him for this one. I mean, even Barnes is
yeah,
22.
I don't mind. Yeah, it's a weird bar anyway. Like it should be like under 20 or something, but they make it like under
No, it's not
21 or
even under
22 or some
20.
weird
It's like,
stuff. Like Raheem Sterling was eligible like 3 years ago or something. It was so weird.
yeah.
Like I don't get the
No,
thing.
I mean, if like I'll exclude what you say, Mason Greenwood, he would have been last year, so like exclude him. Madison is also excluded. Eurotina was excluded. I think I'll give you
Yeah, I
five
think
options.
they're okay.
Pedro
Go ahead.
Neto, Harvey Barnes, Bukayo
Hmm.
Saka, Emil
Hmm.
Smith Rowe, and I think who's the fifth
Hmm.
one? Who I missed out.
I think you can have a talk for. Phil
So
Foden is there. Konsa is there for Aston Villa. He's done well. Then who else is there? There's a
it has to
because
be
the
the best,
younger.
right? Not James
Nah, but I think
Justin is a part of one.
James Justin we need to shout out the guys who've done well, at least
Yeah.
especially people we weren't expecting anything much from. So who else is there?
So what do you think
Melier
of that?
should be considered because he's been
Yeah.
pretty good for
I
Leeds as a
mean,
keeper.
has one good hand there. Good shot stopper. You're lagging,
Hmm.
bro.
Yeah, I know.
Or
You're
I'm lagging.
yeah, you're
I don't
lagging
know.
on my screen. So
I can't tell.
okay,
We'll
so
just
let's pick the
finish it
best
up.
player now. Let's
Yeah,
finish
let's pick
this.
the best player.
I think I would vote for Bukayo Saka. Who else am I supposed to vote for? The first half of the season, the guy who basically carried them, a team that was in dire straits. There was one shining light for them, and that's his name is Bukayo Saka. So I don't think there's any other reason for me to I don't need more reasons to justify my answer.
That's
He
true.
was
I
their
mean,
most
I'm not
important
even
player in the first
asking
half
for
of the
anything to
season.
be justified. I agree with you. But like,
Yeah,
I have a different answer, surprisingly. You
yeah. No,
know,
go ahead with your answer. I'm like,
my biased answer would be Emil Smith Rowe for the impact that
hmm,
he's had on Arsenal since December 25th, winning against Chelsea 3-1. He was the
yeah,
main reason we won that game. And after that, I mean, Arsenal are sitting ninth in the Premier League. They're doing shit. Fair enough. But in the Premier
hmm,
League second half, they're coming third. So it's Man City, West Ham, and
hmm,
Arsenal. They're coming third in
hmm.
like the point game after Christmas. So like there is a what do you say a change which brings some hope for fans for next year. But I think my answer has to be Pedro Neto, and I'll explain why.
Okay,
The guy
go
has
ahead.
5 goals and 5 assists since Raul Jimenez, one of their main strikers, the Wolves' main striker, got
Their only
injured.
striker, basically.
Yeah, their only striker got injured. And that kid, he has that same sense of strike as Jack Grealish, the way he gets in the box. If you see him play, the way he dribbles and he makes his runs. Like
He's got a very good eye for space. Yeah, you're right about
yeah,
that.
his
Yeah.
goal against Chelsea also was brilliant, the last minute winner. Like the run he
Mm-hmm.
made and the finish. I mean, I think he's going to be one world class talent at the end of the world, like in
Well,
two
I
years.
think his most impressive thing about him was the fact that he was able to hold up the ball really well and under very weird circumstances, like you double team him or anything like that, he
Yeah,
would still
plus,
hold the ball somehow. Like he'll get
I
away with
mean,
it. Like
I think Phil Foden might be the best in the conversation, like obviously. But then when you compare him to Pedro Neto, the only difference is that Pedro Neto isn't playing with Bernardo Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Gundogan beside him.
yeah.
He's actually
And I don't
finding
think
it.
Phil Foden has played enough to call himself the best player in the young player, best young player in the league this season.
I mean, he has, but you know the problem is that Pedro Neto doesn't have that kind of support and quality players, and Wolves are having
Yeah,
a really
that's
bad
true.
season. He's the shining
Yeah,
light. He's like the last hope of their side.
yeah,
So I think that also
yes.
impacts a lot when you have the whole team on your back and being
Hmm.
like 19 or 20 years old.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
not
yeah.
like he had some, what do you say, golden spoon or anything like these English youngsters that he's come through the academy or anything. Like, yeah, I mean, he was scouted by Wolves. I mean, the basically the Portuguese national team. But yeah, dude,
Yeah,
I think he deserves a
they
shot in
have
this
their
one.
transfer strategy. Yeah.
I mean, Nuno Espirito decides to take Portuguese players to explain it to him well and fair play. It works, isn't it?
I don't see a problem with it. Like the problem
Yeah,
comes in if the fans are against that approach, and if
I
the
don't think
fans
the
are not
fans are
complaining
against
about the
it.
approach, then I don't see any reason for anybody to have a problem with it. Like
They
the fans
finished.
have the first right in that sense, don't they?
Yeah, I think that's all for today, guys. It was the first
Yeah, I
session.
think this was fun. We had
And
some
we're
internet
really
issues.
sad that
Forgive us
we
for
have
that.
international week next week and this week, so we won't have much content till April 6th or something. But yeah, I think that's it for today. Peace out.
All right. Thank you. See you.